Hi everyone, my name is Pavitra V. Today we are going to discuss a topic called spectroscopy. Spectroscopy is nothing but it is a branch of science which deals with the study of interaction of electromagnetic radiation with that of matter. Matter is nothing but sample what we are taking. First we will discuss what are electromagnetic radiations. Electromagnetic radiations are nothing but they consist of alternating magnetic field and electric field, and they do not require material medium for their propagation, and they travel with the speed of light. So we have so many regions in electromagnetic radiations. I have remembered in a easiest way like C, G, X, U, V, I, M, R. C is nothing but cosmic rays, G is gamma rays, X is X-rays, U is ultraviolet, V is visible region, I is infrared, M is microwaves, and R is radio waves. As we move from cosmic rays to radio waves, energy decreases whereas wavelength increases. We know that energy is inversely proportional to wavelength, that is, as the energy increases, wavelength decreases, or as the energy decreases, wavelength increases. So this is the region of electromagnetic radiations. When we pass different regions of radiations, we will get different types of spectroscopy. For example, when we pass radio waves, we will get NMR spectroscopy, that is nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy, or proton NMR, or C13 NMR. These are some of the types of spectroscopies what we will get when we pass radio waves through the sample or the matter what we are taking. Likewise, when we pass microwaves, we will get NQR spectroscopy, that is nuclear quadrupole resonance spectroscopy, ESR spectroscopy, that is electron spin resonance spectroscopy, or we will get rotational spectroscopy. It is also called pure rotational spectroscopy, or sometimes it is also called microwave spectroscopy. So it is called microwave spectroscopy. Likewise, when we pass infrared radiations, we will get IR spectroscopy, or it is also called rotational vibrational spectroscopy. Rotational vibrational spectroscopy, and in sometimes we are also using this infrared radiation for Fourier transformation in IR spectra, that is Fourier transformation. And when we pass visible region, that is if both UV, that is ultraviolet rays, and visible region, they combine to give UV visible spectroscopy, or it is also called electronic spectroscopy. Electronic spectroscopy. And for X-rays, we will get X-ray diffraction, which we will be studying for the crystal structures, X-ray diffraction. And for gamma rays, we will get mass bar spectroscopy. Mass bar spectroscopy. For so far we are not using cosmic rays as it is having very high energy. So these are some of the types of electromagnetic radiations which gives different types of spectroscopy. Other than this, we have a mass spectroscopy in which we are using a high energy electron beams, so we are not considering it under this heading. Okay, these are some of the types of spectroscopy. Next we will discuss types of spectra. In types of spectra, we have two types. One is atomic spectra and molecular spectra. molecular spectra. Here in atomic spectra it is also called line spectra, whereas molecular spectra is also called band spectra. Each type of element or each type of atom will give different signals in the spectra. That is, when we use molecule is nothing but it is combination of many atoms, so different atoms will give different lines in the spectra, so it looks like a band, hence it is called band spectra. Whereas in atomic spectra only one type of atoms are present, it gives only one signal in the spectra. It is also called, it looks like a line, a single line, hence it is called line spectra. So it is the difference between molecular spectra and line spectra. Next we will consider another concept. Let us consider two energy levels E1 and E2. Let E1 is the lower energy state and E2 is the higher energy state. So E1 is the lower energy state and E2 is the higher energy state. Let us consider an electron here. Okay, let us consider an electron. When we pass a radiation of energy E is equal to h mu, this electron will absorb energy and get excited to the higher energy state. So this is the higher energy state. It gets excited to the higher energy state. When it absorbs the energy and gets excited to the higher energy state, it gives absorption spectra. Absorption spectra, which looks like a dark line in the spectra. So it gives dark line in the spectra. Likewise, in higher energy state, the electron is highly unstable, so it comes back to the original ground state by emitting absorbed radiation. So this emission gives emission spectra. Emission spectra, which looks bright lines in the spectra. So this gives two types of spectra, absorption spectra and emission spectra. Absorption spectra gives dark lines in the spectra and emission spectra gives bright lines. So this is the simple phenomena. If electron gets excited, then it is called electronic spectroscopy or electronic transitions. When it takes place with an atom, when an atom excites from lower energy state to higher energy state, then it is called atomic spectra. It results in the formation of atomic spectra. When it takes with a molecule, then it gives molecular spectra. Molecular spectra. These are some of the types of spectra. This is the basic principle of this spectroscopy. Next we will discuss the energy level diagram. In energy level diagram, we have a main energy levels, that is electronic energy levels, that is N is equal to 1, and this difference, the second energy level N is equal to 2. So this is the principal quantum number. This is the electronic energy levels. Each electronic energy level consists of several vibrational energy levels. This vibrational energy levels we are mentioning like V1 is equal to 0, V2 is equal to 1, V3 is equal to 2, like that. This is also V is equal to 0, V is equal to 1, V is equal to 2. These are vibrational energy levels. Each vibrational energy level consists of several rotational energy levels like this, that we mention as J is equal to 0, J is equal to 1, J is equal to 2, like that. Here also J is equal to 0, J is equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. Here V is nothing but vibrational quantum number. V is called vibrational quantum number, whereas J is equal to rotational quantum numbers. J is called rotational quantum numbers. Here we have electronic energy levels. Each electronic energy levels consists of several vibrational energy levels. Each vibrational energy levels consists of several rotational energy levels. See, when we pass a electromagnetic radiation through a sample, okay, we are considering a sample. When we pass electromagnetic radiation through a sample, the molecules present in the sample first undergo rotational transitions or rotational changes. Rotational transition or rotational changes. When you pass little bit higher energy, then it undergo vibrational transition or vibrational changes, and then finally it undergo electronic transition. Before going to the electronic transition, first the molecule will undergo rotation and then vibration and then electronic transition. See, when you pass, I am just considering an example of microwave, infrared radiation and UV visible, that is electronic spectroscopy, where we get electronic transitions. See, when compared to microwave, infrared and ultraviolet, when you pass from ultraviolet to microwave, energy decreases. Microwave region have lesser energy when compared to infrared. Infrared have lesser energy when compared to UV visible regions. So when you pass microwave, then there is a only rotation takes place. Hence we call it as pure rotational spectroscopy. When you pass little bit higher energy radiation, that is infrared radiation, you will get both rotation and also vibration. Hence it is called rotational vibrational spectroscopy, whereas here we call it as pure rotational spectroscopy. When you pass little bit higher energy than infrared and microwave, that is UV visible region, there you will get electronic excitation. Hence we get electronic spectroscopy. So this is the main theme, where see this in pure rotational spectroscopy there are rotational transitions. Okay, we have a selection rule, we will discuss it later. There will be a electronic transitions, or sorry, there will be a rotational transitions when you pass microwaves. When you pass infrared radiations, then there is a vibrational transitions like this, vibrational energy level transition. When you pass ultraviolet radiation, there is a electronic energy level transitions like this. So this is the basic energy level diagram which explains the different regions of energy levels, that is rotational energy levels, vibrational energy levels and this electronic energy levels. Here V is called vibrational quantum number, where J is called rotational quantum numbers. Now we will move to the rotational spectra. It is active in far infrared region, which is having a value of 666 to 200 centimeter inverse. See, far infrared is nothing but we can also consider it as a microwave region. It is also functioning in microwave region. So in infrared region we have three types: far infrared, middle infrared and near infrared regions. So rotational spectra is active in microwave region. And what are the types of molecules which are active in rotational spectra means the molecule should possess permanent dipole moment. That is, molecule should possess permanent dipole moment. For example, HCl. In HCl we have a electronegativity difference between chloride ion and H. So there will be a permanent dipole moment is created in this molecule. For example, NO, CO, that is carbon monoxide, etc. This type of molecules show rotational spectra or rotational active in nature. Other than that, we have a moment of inertia concept in rotational spectroscopy. It is denoted by capital I. So this is moment of inertia. We have to derive an expression for moment of inertia of a rigid rotator. So here we are rotating a molecule. So we are considering a diatomic molecule. Here we are using a word called rigid rotator. That is, its bond length doesn't change during the rotation. So when we rotate with an center of axis C, these are the two molecules, that is the two atoms A and B, and we are rotating it through a center of axis. Here there is no change in the bond length. So that type of molecules are called rigid molecules, and it is a rigid rotator. Now we will move to the derivation of moment of inertia of a rigid rotator or a rotor. In the examination, it is very important derivation. So for this we are considering a diatomic molecule. See, it is a diatomic molecule. For this we are calculating a moment of inertia expression. Here it is a molecule, it is an atom A and atom B with a mass m1 and m2, having a mass atom B having a mass m2 and atom A having a mass m1, and this is the total bond length. I'm taking this as a R, and this is the center of gravity C. The distance of an atom A from the center of atom A to the center of gravity, I am taking it as a R1, and the distance of atom B to the center of gravity, I am taking it as a R2. From the figure we can write it as R is equal to R1 plus R2. So this is the data we are getting from the figure. I am taking this R1 to the LHS. I am taking expression for R2. R minus R1 is equal to R2. I am calling this equation number 1. See, this is a diatomic molecule with two atoms A and B. A having a mass m1 and B having a mass m2. C is the center of gravity where actually the mass are balanced. So we can also write it as at the point C, that is center of gravity, we can write it as m1 r1 is equal to m2 r2. So I am calling this equation number 2. Here the both balanced masses are taken of atom A and atom B. And next we will move to the next substitution step. Substitute 1 in 2. So we are substituting for R2. M1 R1 is equal to M2 into R minus R1. So I am simplifying this by multiplying M2 to this contents M2R minus M2R1. So I am taking this M2R1 to the LHS side. M1R1 plus M2R1 is equal to M2R. I am taking a common, that is R1. M1 plus M2 is equal to M2R. So I am shifting this M1 plus M2 to the RHS denominator. R1 is equal to M2R divided by M1 plus M2. Okay, I am calling this equation number 3. Similarly, I can write an expression for R2. For R2, here I am writing, instead of M2, here M1 into R divided by M1 plus M2. Similarly, I can write this. I am calling this equation number 4. So this is now we will substitute this expression for the moment of inertia expression. We have an expression for moment of inertia, as we know that I is equal to m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square. This expression is for diatomic molecule. So if it is a triatomic molecule, we have to write plus m3r3 square. So as it is a diatomic molecule, we are stopping for m2r2 square. This is an expression for moment of inertia. Substitute for r1 and r2 in above equation. In above equation, we get I is equal to m1 into m2 by m1 plus m2 into r whole square. So sometimes you will forget this whole square. Remember this, m2 into r2 expression is m1 by m1 plus m2 into r whole square. Now we will simplify this. m1 m2 square, see this square, into r square divided by m1 plus m2 whole square plus m2 m1 square into r square divided by m1 plus m2 whole square. As we have same denominators, we can take LHS m1 plus m2 whole square. So here m1 m2 square into r square plus m2 m1 square into r square. In this we can take a common factor I is equal to m1 m2 r as a common. Here the remaining is m2 plus here the remaining is m1 plus m2 whole square in the denominator. See, 2 plus 3 is same as 3 plus 2. So we can cancel this term by this one of the m1 plus m2. So we will get I is equal to m1 m2 divided by m1 plus m2 into, here we are taking a r square common, into r square. So I am replacing this whole term by mu r square. So this is your final expression where mu is equal to m1 m2 divided by m1 plus m2. It is also called reduced mass. Reduced mass. So in the problem solving, they will ask this they will ask frequently questions on this concept. So final expression for moment of inertia of a diatomic molecule is I is equal to mu r square, where mu is the reduced mass which is equal to m1 m2 by m1 plus m2, where r is the bond length or the distance between two atoms. R is called bond length. So moment of inertia of a diatomic molecule is equal to product of reduced mass and square of the bond length. So this is the expression. Next we will discuss the expression for rotational energy. It is also denoted as EJ. We know that J is a rotational quantum number. The expression is written like this: E of J is equal to h square by 8 pi square I J into J plus 1. Here h is Planck's constant. I is moment of inertia, and J is rotational quantum number. Now we will consider a transition of J is equal to 0 to J is equal to 1. See, this is a transition. I am representing like this. I am considering two energy levels, J is equal to 0 to J is equal to 1. I am considering a transition like this. Here I am calculating what will be the energy required for this transition. Okay, that is delta E is equal to E of J is equal to 1 minus E of J is equal to 0. It is nothing but energy difference is higher energy state minus lower energy state. Here E of J is equal to 1 is the higher energy state, E of J is equal to 0 is the lower energy state. By getting the difference of these two, we will get what will be the energy required for this transition. Okay, so from the above expression we have like this: delta E is equal to E of j is equal to 1 for this h square by 8 pi square I. J is 1, that is j into j plus 1, 1 into 1 plus 1 minus h square by 8 pi square I. Here j is equal to 0, that is 0 into 0 plus 1. 0 multiplied by anything is 0 itself. So h square by 8 pi square I into 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 into 1 is 2. So 2 ones are 2 fours are, you will get a final expression as h square by 4 pi square I. So this is the amount of energy required by an electron or an atom in order to get excited from j is equal to 0 to j is equal to 1 energy level. For the same expression, the energy expression, we can mention in terms of wave numbers also. For example, we have E is equal to h mu expression, where h is Planck's constant and mu is the frequency. For likewise, C is equal to mu lambda. This is the formula. So E is equal to hc by lambda. We can equate these two. We will get h mu is equal to hc by lambda. Here h gets cancelled, that is Planck's constant. Mu is equal to c by lambda, or c is equal to mu lambda. This is the expression, one of the expression. Also 1 by lambda is equal to mu bar. 1 by lambda is equal to mu bar, that is wave number. Mu is equal to c mu bar. So this is also one of the expression you can get. When you come to the problem solving, these expressions are very much important. See, here h is Planck's constant, E is energy, mu is frequency, c is velocity of light, and mu bar is the wave number, lambda is the wavelength. So here we can write it as delta E is equal to hc by lambda or hc mu bar. So we can write like this also. The same thing I am expressing here. See, delta E, in the place of delta E I am taking hc mu bar is equal to h square by 4 pi square I. Okay, here one of the h gets cancelled from LHS to RHS. Here we are getting mu bar is equal to h by 4 pi square IC. H by 4 pi square IC. So this is the expression in terms of wave number. When you use this amount of wave number value, there will be a transition from j is equal to 0 to j is equal to 1. When you discuss with the problems, these expressions are very much important. Next we will discuss the absorption bands in rotational spectra, or simply a rotational spectrum. Here we have an energy of rotational spectrum as we discussed previously, h square by 8 pi square I j into j plus 1. This is the energy expression. Also we have calculated in terms of wave number, that is h by 8 pi square IC j into j plus 1. So here I am considering this as a constant, and I am replacing it by a capital B j into j plus 1, where B is equal to h by 8 pi square IC. It is also called rotational constant. Rotational constant. For the sake of simplicity, I am replacing this whole constant by another constant called rotational constant. Here wave number is measured in terms of meter inverse. It is its unit. Now consider a transition from j is equal to 0 to j is equal to 1. So I am considering this transition. For this, mu bar value is equal to higher energy state minus lower energy state. So B of higher energy state is j is equal to 1. So 1 into 1 plus 1 minus B into 0 is the lower energy state, 0 into 0 plus 1. So we are getting a value 2b minus 0. So I am not mentioning that. It means when there is a transition from j is equal to 0 to j is equal to 1, you will get a spectral line at 2b value. Okay. Next we will consider a second transition from j is equal to 1 to j is equal to 2. So I am considering this as a second transition. For that we are calculating a wave number. Mu bar is equal to B into higher energy state is 2. 2 into 2 plus 1 minus lower energy state is 1. That is B into 1 plus 1. So mu bar is equal to 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 2s are 6. 6b minus 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 1s are 2. That is 2b. So we are getting mu bar value at 4b. That is, when there is a transition from j is equal to 1 to 2, you will get a spectral line at 4b value. Similarly, for j is equal to 2 to j is equal to 3, you will get mu bar value at 6b. So it is continuous like this: 2b, 4b, 6b, 8b, like this, etc. So when we write a spectral lines in the scale mu bar, we will get first spectral line at 2b, second spectral line at 4b, third spectral line at 6b, third spectral line at 6b, fourth spectral line at 8b. So we can observe one of the significant feature, that is each spectral line is differ by a value 2b. This is the main significant feature of rotational spectra. Each spectral lines are equally spaced by the value 2b. So this is the rotational spectra what we observe when we consider a diatomic molecule. These are the transition we are considering. The first transition, j is equal to 0 to j is equal to 1, it is giving a spectral line at 2b. And here j is equal to 1 to 2 transition, it is giving a spectral line at 4b. So this is the explanation for rotational spectra.